everybody wants to become a millionaire, right? I mean, no matter whether they're likely to become one or not, everyone's, oh, I want to get rich one day. I want to become a millionaire. I want to, have the yachts and the whatnot. And, never mind that, of course, having $1 or $2 million is not enough to have a yacht, but that's a whole other conversation. But not many people actually become a millionaire by their early 30s. And our guest today, Lauren Keen Aumond, did become a millionaire by 31. Lauren is a personal finance expert. She is the founder of Adulting is Easy, and she's going to walk us through the blueprint of how to become a millionaire at a young age, because there is a formula you can follow. I mean, obviously, there are multiple paths to success, but there are some that are more predictable than others. So, Lauren, I'm really excited to hear both your story and some of your tips and advice for other people who want to become a millionaire, sooner rather than later.
Yeah, becoming a millionaire is an awesome milestone. I know it's not what it used to be. Everybody's like, oh, $1 million is like $300,000 in a few years or whatever. And my argument is, but like, wouldn't you rather have a million than not have a million, right?
Yes.
So it's a good stepping point. It's a good milestone. I think it's something to celebrate. And it wasn't necessarily a goal that I thought a lot about when I was younger, I didn't even know it, but I was on the path to become a millionaire really early on. And what I did, the step one for me was home ownership, buying a home. I think I got a pretty good deal on it at the time. It was 2012, so it was easier to get a good deal than it is now in the 2020s. But even then, got a good deal, forced some equity into it, and held it for a number of years. Then when I was ready to buy another home, I made what ended up being a pretty smart decision is I kept that first one and rented it out. And that's really when I became how I thought of myself as a landlord, even though I had roommates before that and they had had leases and stuff. And I think technically I was a landlord, right? It wasn't really until I got that second home and rented out the first that I felt that way. Also, in that time frame, something that I worked really hard on was growing my income. And so I had gotten a finance degree, I had been doing accounting, and an inside sales position opened up at the company that I was working at. And I applied for it and I got it. And I really took sales very seriously. I attended like a free webinar every week. I read a ton of sales books. I had mentors. I really worked hard at my craft. And over the next year or two, I got promoted a couple of more times and then really had juiced my income to the point where I was like in my mid 20s making $200,000, which was really good. Especially my first year out of school, I made $28,000. And that's when I bought that first house. And so that was something else that I did with this extra income, then, if you will, disposable income, they like to call it, whatever. I disposed of it into my by maxing my 401k, maxing my Roth IRA, and there was still a little bit of money left over. And that's when the real estate investing really kicked off. So, just to summarize, I still think home ownership is a great way to build equity in the United States of America. I do think your primary residence is an investment. I know there's a lot of scuttlebutt on the internet that it's not, but I do believe that increasing my income, I was certainly watching my expenses at the same time, but increasing my income really is what helped to get me there. And then also, doing the different investments, maxing my retirement accounts, investing in real estate, that really put me on the path. I think that got me to my first about $500,000 in net worth. At that point, I married my husband, who was worth about $100,000 at the time. We'd been together about 3 years. And so then we were worth 600. So I got another 100 that way. And then really, once we got married, we were able to make a lot of joint financial decisions, which we had been making separately. And everything really started to balloon from there as well. So marrying someone else who also made good money, who was also driven, but then literally being able to make joint decisions rather than these two separate financial paths really led us to the first $1 million. I was 31, he was 28, and then the second was a year or two after that. Did not take very long at all.
Well, there's so much to unpack there. I love that. Yeah, I mean, a couple highlights there. Real estate is a predictable, investment for that. Maxing out your 401k and your IRA, and taking advantage of those tax sheltered accounts, another really important component there. Juicing your income, growing your income, in the fire community, if you will. A lot of people focus on playing defense with reducing your spending, and that's important. It's really good. You also want to play some offense and grow your income at the same time, so you can grow that gap between what you earn and what you spend from both directions. Bringing down your expenses, growing up your revenue. So yeah, I mean, you covered a lot of important things there. One thing you touched on that I had to laugh when you said it, looking at your primary residence as an investment versus not. And I think where a lot of people get into trouble there is they use that mindset or that logic to justify overspending on their primary
Right.
residence. And they say, oh, well, it's an investment. So, I'm going to go out and buy my dream house that I can't really afford, and that's not going to leave me enough money to, save and invest every month, because that's an investment. My home's an investment. So I think that's where a lot of people run into trouble there. Your home is an expense. And the more you spend on expenses, the less you have for true investments like real estate investments, like stocks. But your home does appreciate over time as well. And if you house hack like you did, then your home actually does become an investment because it's generating revenue for you. So, yeah, there's some nuance to that conversation that I think a lot of people just miss as part of that whole discourse. And finally, one thing you talked about was getting married, and once you get married, you can go into two-player mode with your personal finances, and you can do some really fun things. Two people can almost live as inexpensively as one person, not quite, but almost. I mean, there's a lot of efficiencies there, when you're sharing one bedroom, one roof, one set of meals. You can have leftovers to take to your lunch the next day, when you're cooking dinner for each other every night. I mean, you get some tax benefits of being married and some estate planning benefits. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can do with two-player mode. So anyway, I love all that, and that would have to be another conversation that we have about some of those financial benefits of being married and two-player mode in personal finance.
Oh yeah. One thing I'll
Please, yeah.
add about two-player mode is you can take a little bit more risk than you can as a single person. A big thing that happened for us was my husband left like the typical corporate world and founded an engineering firm with a partner where he took a really big pay cut but was able to do that because we had the security of my income and my job. And now his income has so far surpassed anything that even the two of us were making together at that time. And we would not have been able to do that. He would not have had, I don't think, the gumption to do that if we hadn't had me to fall back. That's a little bit before we got married, but that's just something else to think about too.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, and that's something I talk about sometimes in our newsletter. So my wife has a very stable job with a nice solid floor with great benefits, but it's got a low ceiling on the income.
Yeah.
So we aim to live entirely on my wife's income and benefits. She's a school counselor, so she gets paid equivalent to a teacher, right? This is not
Right.
a high salary, but being overseas in particular, she gets some great benefits. We get free furnished housing, we get full health coverage for the family, we get paid flights home to the U.S. every year. Um, so great benefits, low ceiling on the income. That frees me up to be an entrepreneur, kind of like in your family. So I can go out and I have no floor on my income, right? I mean, there are months when I earn very little money as an entrepreneur, but there's no ceiling on my income either. I mean, I can, as I grow my business and my investments, I can take these risks, and it has enabled me to earn more money by taking some of those risks that, to your point, may not have been comfortable making if I were living by myself as a single person. And it also has freed us up to take some more risks in our investments as well, not just in
Yes.
my career. Um, I mean, we now the risk has gotten a lot lower because we've really refined uh, the the model of passive real estate investing that we do in our co-investing club. Um, People talk about passive real estate investments as sometimes having high risk to go along with those high returns. It doesn't have to be that way. But when I was first exploring them, first dipping my toe in the water, I didn't really know what I was doing with those investments, but I was willing to take those risks anyway because of that two-player mode and being able to live off my wife's salary while saving and investing every dollar that I make. So I was able to experiment with some of these passive real estate investments and develop some expertise there that I might not have been willing to do if I were having to cover every dollar of living expenses on my own. So anyway, no, that's a great point that you made there. Lauren, in 30 seconds or less, how do you help people, and how can people connect with you if they want to take you up on that help?
Absolutely. So I run the Adulting is Easy podcast where we make adulting easier by making money easier. That's personal finance of all topics. Of course, real estate is heavily featured over there. That's interview based. And then I'm on Twitter at Adulting is Easy, Instagram at Adulting is Easy, Real, YouTube at Adulting is Easy, or you can email me at realadultingiseasy@gmail.com.
Awesome. Lauren, thank you so much for joining us. And guys, if you enjoy these quick, focused conversations that we have, please rate and review the show. It takes you 15 seconds, but it makes a world of difference to us. So thanks again, and we will catch you on the flip side. Want the cash flow appreciation and tax benefits of real estate without becoming a landlord? You've heard of REITs and real estate crowdfunding, but you probably don't know much about 5 other ways to invest passively in real estate. So we put together a free video course for you to show you how to consistently earn 15% plus returns from 5 lesser known hands-off ways to invest in real estate. And even more importantly, we'll keep risk front and center in that whole discussion. Because really, what's the point of investing for high returns if you also take on high risk, right? So visit sparkrental.com/free to take our free course. Each video is snackable at 10 to 15 minutes long, and the entire course takes less time than watching a movie. Looking forward to chatting with you from within the course.